Life will test you in ways you cannot always anticipate. It will push you to your limits and expose you to storms, setbacks, and moments that shake you to your core. These experiences are inevitable, and no one is immune to them. But in the middle of the storm, when emotions are rising and chaos is pressing in from every side, there is one thing that will ultimately decide your outcome. It is not your education, not your background, not even your raw talent. It is your ability to stay calm. A calm mind is a powerful mind. A calm mind sees solutions where others only see problems. A calm mind transforms obstacles into stepping stones and turns adversity into opportunity. When you train yourself to remain steady in moments of uncertainty, you give yourself an edge that most people will never discover. Think about what happens when pressure mounts. Your heart starts racing, your palms sweat, your breathing shortens, and suddenly your brain feels scrambled. Science explains this reaction clearly. When you panic, the logical part of your brain shuts down. You stop thinking and start reacting. Your body flips into survival mode, into that ancient fight state designed to protect us in moments of danger. But while that state may have helped our ancestors escape predators, it can sabotage us today. Because when you react purely out of emotion, you stop making rational decisions. You lash out, you freeze up, or you say or do something that costs you opportunities, relationships, or progress. Reaction is dangerous because it strips away control, and without control, you are at the mercy of circumstances. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine standing in the same storm, the same chaos, but instead of losing yourself in panic, you take a deep breath. You slow everything down. You step back and give yourself space to think. Suddenly, instead of being consumed by fear, you are centered. Instead of reacting impulsively, you are responding with intention. This is what separates those who crumble under pressure from those who rise above it. Composure is the key. The leaders we admire, the athletes we look up to, the people who achieve greatness in any field, they all share this one quality. They know how to manage the storm inside, even when the storm outside is raging. Take Michael Jordan, for example. He has become a symbol of excellence not simply because of his skill or his athleticism, but because of his composure. Picture him on the court, the clock winding down, the weight of a championship resting on his shoulders. Millions are watching. The pressure is suffocating. For most people, the panic would be overwhelming. Their hands would shake, their focus would shatter, and the moment would swallow them whole. But not Jordan. He took a breath. He locked in. He stayed calm when the world expected him to break. And because of that composure, he executed. He made the shot. He delivered when it mattered most. Some might argue that Jordan was different, that he was simply born with something special that the rest of us don't have. But the truth is, he was human just like you and me. He felt the same pressure, the same fear, the same nerves. The difference was in how he chose to respond. He did not allow the pressure to control him. He mastered his mind so that he could master the moment. That is the lesson. Calmness is not about being emotionless. It is about directing your emotions instead of being directed by them. And here is the good news. You don't have to be an athlete or a public figure to experience the power of composure. Life presents you with opportunities to practice it every day. Maybe it's during a difficult conversation with your boss. Maybe it's while you're stuck in traffic and everything in you wants to explode in frustration. Maybe it's when someone you love disappoints you or when life throws you a curveball you never expected. In each of those moments, you face a choice. You can react with anger, fear, or despair, or you can pause, breathe, and respond with clarity. And that choice will shape the outcome. The difference between reacting and responding might seem small in the moment, but it is monumental in its consequences. Reaction is the easy path. It requires no thought, only instinct. But it often leads to regret. How many times have you said something in anger that you wished you could take back? How many times have you made a decision in panic that you later realized was the wrong one? Responding, on the other hand, takes discipline. It requires you to pause, to breathe, and to think, but the reward is worth it. Better decisions, better relationships, and better outcomes. The question then is, how do you build that kind of composure? How do you train your mind to remain calm when everything inside you and around you is screaming to lose control? The answer is surprisingly simple. It begins with your breath. You've heard the phrase, take a deep breath, more times than you can count, but few realize just how powerful that advice truly is. Your breath is the bridge between your body and your mind. When your breathing is shallow and erratic, your body interprets it as danger, and your mind follows with panic. But when you slow your breathing, when you inhale deeply and exhale fully, you send a message to your entire system that you are safe, that you are in control. Even the most elite performers in the world rely on this. Navy SEALs who face life or death situations where panic could mean disaster practice a method called box breathing. It is as simple as it is effective. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold again for 4, repeat. With this simple rhythm, they reset their nervous system and regain control. They use their breath to anchor themselves in the storm, to keep their minds clear and their actions precise. If it works for them in the heat of combat, it can work for you in the chaos of everyday life. The truth is, calmness is a skill. It is not something you are either born with or without. It is something you practice, something you strengthen like a muscle. Every time you choose to pause instead of lash out, you are training that muscle. Every time you take a breath before making a decision, you are building resilience. Every time you step back to see the bigger picture instead of getting lost in the immediate chaos, you are reinforcing the power of a calm mind, and over time, that calmness becomes second nature. You become less reactive, more thoughtful, more focused. You begin to realize that life is not about controlling the storms around you, but about mastering the storm within. Because when your mind is calm, no external force can truly shake you. Circumstances lose their grip, pressure loses its power, and chaos becomes nothing more than background noise. Calmness doesn't mean the storm disappears. It means you learn how to navigate it without losing yourself. This is why a calm mind is the greatest advantage you can have in life. Talent will only take you so far. Knowledge and skill are important, but they are useless if you crumble under pressure. Calmness is what allows you to access all of your abilities when you need them most. Calmness is what helps you make the right choice when the stakes are high. Calmness is what keeps you moving forward when others are paralyzed by fear. It is not weakness. It is not passivity. It is strength in its purest form. The strength of being in control of yourself when the world is out of control around you. So the next time you feel the storm rising, remember that you are not powerless. You have a choice. You can allow panic to hijack your mind, or you can take a breath and steady yourself. You can allow circumstances to dictate your response, or you can rise above them with composure. And every time you choose calmness, you are not just surviving. You are mastering life itself. Life is never a straight road, and it is certainly not a smooth one. You will be tested by obstacles you did not expect, and you will face moments that feel unfair, heavy, and relentless. In those moments, what determines your future is not the difficulty of the obstacle itself, but how you choose to see it. Most people see problems, they see setbacks as final, as proof that they cannot move forward, as walls that block the path. But those who rise, those who achieve greatness, refuse to see problems. Instead, they see challenges, and that single shift in perspective changes everything. A problem is something you feel defeated by. A problem makes you stop. It tells you there is no way forward. A challenge, on the other hand, invites you to rise. A challenge says this will be hard, but it is not impossible. A challenge ignites something inside you that says, I am tougher than this. Let's go. That mindset is not about ignoring reality. It is about reframing it. When you reframe a setback into a challenge, the weight on your shoulders becomes lighter. You stop feeling trapped and start feeling like a fighter again. This shift is not always easy, because the natural human response when things go wrong is to ask, why is this happening to me? It is a question rooted in frustration, in victimhood, in the belief that you have no control. And while it is natural to ask that question in moments of pain, it does not serve you. It does not move you forward. It keeps you stuck. The better question, the question that will change your life, is what can I learn from this? That question opens the door to growth. It turns something that felt impossible into something you can work with. It transforms the situation from a dead end into a stepping stone. History is full of people who mastered this shift, and their stories remind us of the power of perspective. Take Thomas Edison, the man behind the invention of the light bulb. Most people know his name, but fewer realize the journey he took to achieve that success. Edison did not just create the light bulb on his first attempt. He failed thousands of times, 10,000 attempts to be precise, 10,000 ways that did not work. Imagine that level of frustration. Imagine how tempting it would have been to quit after the first 100 or the first 1,000. But Edison refused to see his attempts as failures. When asked about them, he did not say, "I failed 10,000 times." He said, "I found 10,000 ways that didn't work." That mindset, seeing every setback as a lesson instead of a defeat, is what changed the world. You may not be inventing the light bulb, but you are building your own future. You are facing your own series of attempts, some of which will work and many of which will not. And every time something doesn't go as planned, you face a choice. You can wallow in disappointment, let it break you down and stop moving, or you can reframe it. You can ask, what can I learn? How can I use this? And when you make that choice, every so-called failure becomes fuel for the next step forward. This truth is not reserved for inventors or icons of history. It applies to you in your everyday life. Maybe you didn't get that promotion you were hoping for. Maybe a relationship you invested your heart in fell apart. Maybe you launched an idea, a project, or a business and it failed. These moments hurt. There's no denying that. But pain is not the end of the story unless you decide it is. The real power lies in what you choose to do with that pain. Do you let it define you, or do you let it refine you? Because every setback carries a lesson if you are willing to look for it. It is not about denying the difficulty. It is about refusing to stop there. Edison did not let 10,000 failures define him as a man who could not succeed. He let them refine his process until he found the way that worked. That is the approach you must take. You must see every obstacle as part of the process, every fall as part of the climb, every delay as part of your preparation. Because life does not owe you smooth sailing. It does not promise an easy road. What life does give you, however, is the power to choose how you respond. That choice is your greatest gift. When you choose to see setbacks as stepping stones, you unlock resilience. Suddenly, instead of being crushed by the weight of a challenge, you find strength in it. Instead of being paralyzed by failure, you use it to sharpen yourself. Each lesson learned becomes another tool in your arsenal. Each challenge faced becomes another brick in the foundation of your strength. And with every step, you move closer to the person you are meant to become. The world is full of people who gave up when things got tough. They let one setback convince them they weren't good enough. They let one failure stop them from trying again. They let the pain of the moment blind them to the possibility of tomorrow. But the ones who change the world, the ones who reach their goals and live fulfilled lives, are those who refuse to see failure as the end. They saw it as feedback. They saw it as preparation. They saw it as part of the journey. That is the mindset you must adopt if you want to rise. The next time life knocks you down, do not ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this teaching me?" Do not say, "This is the end." Say, "This is the step before the breakthrough." Because the truth is, every setback is just a setup for a comeback. Every obstacle is an invitation to grow stronger. Every challenge is an opportunity to test your resilience and prove to yourself that you are more capable than you realize. Think back to your own life. Think about the hard times you've already faced, the disappointments, the losses, the failures. At the time, they felt crushing, but here you are. You survived. In fact, in some ways, you are stronger because of them. You learned things about yourself that comfort could never teach you. You discovered a resilience you didn't know you had. You gained perspective, wisdom, grit. That is the power of challenges. They are not there to destroy you. They are there to build you, to prepare you, to mold you into the person you need to become in order to fulfill your purpose. So stop running from challenges. Stop fearing failure as if it is a death sentence. Embrace it, learn from it, grow through it, because when you do, you turn what could have been the end of your story into the turning point of your journey. You rise above the setback, and you prove that nothing, not failure, not pain, not disappointment, can stop a determined mind. In the end, life is not about avoiding difficulty. It is about mastering your response to it. It is about refusing to see problems and choosing instead to see challenges. And when you do that, you will find that every obstacle is nothing more than an opportunity disguised as struggle. Every fall is another chance to rise higher. Every failure is just another step on the path to success. Calmness is not something you stumble into when life is easy. It is something you build, something you train for, something you commit to when things are quiet, so that you are ready when things become chaotic. The truth is, nobody wakes up one day and suddenly has unshakable composure. It is a skill, a discipline, and like any discipline, it requires practice. The strongest minds in the world, the most successful people, the ones who seem unbothered by the storms that knock everyone else off balance, did not become that way by accident. They became that way because they built habits, because they trained themselves to find stillness in the middle of noise, because they made a decision to prepare for the battle before the battle began. Think about an athlete at the top of their game. On the night of the big performance, they do not suddenly discover confidence and clarity. That clarity was built months and years before in training sessions nobody saw. Muhammad Ali used to say that he won his fights long before he stepped into the ring. He won them in the early mornings, in the quiet hours of practice, when nobody was watching. That is the same way calmness is built. It is not forged in the moment when chaos strikes. It is forged in the moments before, in the daily habits you commit to. Meditation, deep breathing, visualization, reading, journaling. These are not just trendy activities. They are mental training. They are the workouts for your mind. When you sit quietly and practice breathing deeply, you are teaching your body how to calm itself on command. When you visualize your goals, you are training your mind to focus on the outcome instead of the obstacle. When you journal, you are clearing the clutter from your thoughts so that you can see clearly. Every one of these small habits is like a brick. Alone, they may not look like much, but over time they build a fortress inside you, a place of strength you can return to when the storms of life arrive. And the storms will arrive. There is no avoiding them. Life will test you. The question is not whether pressure will come, but whether you will be prepared when it does. If you neglect the work, if you skip the practice, if you wait until the chaos comes to try to build calmness, you will always be behind. But if you train in advance, if you put in the daily work, then when the storm comes, you will already have the tools. You will already have the muscle memory to breathe, to pause, to think clearly. That is how calmness becomes your superpower. But building inner strength is not just about what you do alone. It is also about the environment you create for yourself. The people you surround yourself with matter. Your circle can either lift you or drain you. If you spend your time around negativity, gossip, fear, and doubt, it will cloud your mind. It will make calmness feel impossible. But if you choose to surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you, who bring peace instead of chaos, then staying grounded becomes easier. You cannot always control what happens in the world, but you can control who you let into your space. Protect your peace like it is your most valuable possession, because it is. There will be moments when protecting that peace means saying no. No to environments that drain you. No to relationships that pull you into drama. No to commitments that don't align with your purpose. Every time you say no to what doesn't serve you, you are saying yes to your growth, your strength, and your calmness. Too many people live their lives on autopilot, saying yes to everything, and then wonder why they are burned out and reactive. Calmness requires boundaries. It requires discipline to protect your energy. Now, when chaos inevitably strikes, the question is, how do you show up? Do you panic? Do you let fear take over? Or do you fall back on the habits you've built? The person who is trained, the person who has practiced calmness every day, knows what to do. They pause, they breathe, They slow their heart rate. They give themselves a moment to choose their response instead of reacting in a rush. That pause is where the power is. In that pause, you regain control. In that pause, you decide how the story unfolds. And this is the truth most people overlook. Calmness is not about avoiding the storm. It is about learning how to walk through it with steady steps. It is about being the one who remains composed while everyone else is falling apart. Because when you are calm, you can think. When you can think, you can decide wisely. And when you decide wisely, you create outcomes that align with your vision instead of outcomes you regret. Calmness is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is the ability to master yourself when the world around you is out of control. Imagine two people facing the same crisis. One reacts in panic, letting emotions drive every decision. The other pauses, breathes, thinks clearly, and then responds. Who comes out stronger? Who makes progress instead of mistakes? The answer is obvious, and the only difference between the two is that one trained for calmness and the other did not. One relied on preparation, the other relied on chance. Which one do you want to be? This is not just about surviving difficult moments. It is about thriving in them. It is about turning obstacles into opportunities and pressure into progress. When you can remain calm in chaos, you gain an advantage over everyone else who cannot. You become the steady hand in the storm, the person others can rely on, the leader who makes the right call when it matters most. Calmness elevates you not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. And the beauty of it all is that calmness is always within your control. The world can be loud. People can be unpredictable. Life can be messy. But your breath, your habits, your mindset, that is yours. That is the part you can control no matter what. And once you master that, you are unshakable. No amount of chaos can take it from you because it is built inside you. So build the habits, train your mind, protect your peace. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher. Practice calmness every single day in small moments, so that when the big moments come, you are ready. Breathe deeply, think clearly, and respond with intention. That is how you rise. That is how you stay steady. That is how you step fully into your power. In the end, calmness is not just a nice idea. It is the foundation of success. Without it, fear and panic make your choices for you. With it, you become the author of your own story. You take control of your actions, your future, and your destiny. Calmness is not passive. It is powerful. It is the difference between stumbling through life and walking with purpose. And the moment you decide to master it, to practice it, to live it, is the moment you become unstoppable.